This episode of Keeping Tabs is brought to you by Doot Loot, your one-stop shop for Japanese and Russian foils. If you spend $100 or more, you'll earn free entry into our online cEDH league this month. So don't miss out and upgrade your deck's bling today.
Welcome to Critical EDH, Keeping Tabs on cEDH, where we put the Critical EDH in Critical EDH. We're workshopping new intros. If you like that one, or if you would really like a different one, let us know in the comments. We could have two totally different intros, as if it's two totally different podcasts. I'm Eric, and I'm here with our newest member.
Hello, my name's Jordan.
His name is Jordan. What if someone has never played Magic before?
Yep.
They've never. Well, I guess they've played Magic before. They just haven't played with you.
Yeah.
They never talked to you before, but you wanted to give them a real solid impression of like who you are, so that if they're playing against you at Fishbowl, they at least kind of know who you are. What's your kind of like cEDH like resume? The kind of flyby 5,000-foot view of like who you are. Give me some
Yeah,
details.
totally. I don't think I've told any of you guys this actually. I signed up. My first tournament was supposed to be Crombat, and I was playing this like abomination of a Master of Keys deck that never saw the light of day. Yeah.
Never seen one of those before.
So I paid the entry fee and just didn't show up. And so that was the start of my
Oh my
cEDH
word!
journey.
Thank you for your donation. Heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
Money, please.
money, please. Then Kefka got printed, and I was like, this card is sick.
Yeah.
And I made a quote-unquote casual version of that deck, and someone scooped on turn 2, and I was like, this is not where this deck belongs. So I took it to level 7 weekly, did okay the first one, and then I top 4'd the next 2 that I did.
Nice.
And then I've scrubbed out ever since, so I was washed early.
Gotcha.
But I don't know, I got pretty involved in the Kefka Discord, and then I got involved just like trying to be involved in the scene here, and you guys were like incredible to play with and learn from, and I just think the format's super sick, and I want more people to play it and engage with it, and my background is in like bodybuilding and jiu-jitsu and competing in a lot of other mediums, and so being able to translate it into this is super fun.
Nice. And then before we go into our next step, what is your hottest cEDH take? Real spicy, fastball, let it rip.
Oh God. Hottest take? I don't know if I know enough to have a hot take. I think Tim Nadargo is a really good deck.
Okay.
Which I know many people in this room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm hearing what you're saying. Tim Nadargo is objectively better than Blue Farm, Rocksai, and Rockgrass combined.
It is objectively more fun than all of those combined.
Objectively more fun. That's awesome. Well, welcome you guys to this week's episode, and welcome to the podcast and to the crew.
Thanks, dude. Happy to be here.
Speaking of places that we are happy to be, if we fast forward in time, I believe all of us are going to be at Fishbowl number 6. Super duper fun. It was the last one we went to, was that this year? That is crazy to me. Being in
It was March of this year?
It was March?
Fishbowl 5.
Holy cow. Untimed rounds really warp. Really warp. This is like worse than COVID. I have no idea what's happening in time. But
We're still in Swiss.
Oh, it's so much fun though. I think it is like, I've been telling people it's like cEDH summer camp. It's just a weekend of having tons of fun. They do a really good job organizing everything there. And then we do actually have, if you go to the Critical EDH Discord, we actually already have like a thread / like forum together. So if you guys are going to Fishbowl, we want to see you, we want to hang out with you. Hopefully we'll be able to gen some games with you in LobbyCon. I know I could use the practice. So if you're really good, if you want to be really good, I know I want to be, just jump in there, and then we're definitely going to be hanging out at the very least at the hotel. Probably going to be playing some games in Swiss. I feel I can pretty confidently say that we have the top 4 of Fishbowl locked down in this room.
Nose goes for the odd man out.
What are you playing?
I'm playing Lumra. I had planned on. I'm actually in a small group chat with Yaw from That's a Good Card and Nick Nicolay of Magda Mod of Papa Squats, and I've been planning on playing Tim Dargo, and you're right, it's a ton of fun, but I don't know, I've played enough CDH at this point to realize if like me and a deck are clicking, and I don't know, I feel like I understand the deck, and I can see why it's a lot of fun, but I just don't have the confidence needed to go into 7 rounds of Swiss, and so I'm going back to old reliable. Nothing is more consistent in CDH than mono green lands. I mean, that's if you listen to people say, "Oh, it's my first tournament," I want to make sure that I do kind of well. Everyone on Reddit is always like mono green lands. So we'll see how it goes. Mainly just going based off of vibes. I think you were talking about planning on bringing Tim Dargo.
I decided today I'm going to play Tim Dargo.
Heck yeah!
Huge shout out to Art Dark. My altars from him got here earlier this week, and that was like. Part of why I got into the deck was like Kellen's whole story about comparing it to Berserk and the relationship that his journey with the deck was like. And those got here, and then I was kind of looking through the list and just goldfishing. I'm like, it's so fun, and I want to do well. I want to play to win, and play to like represent is the wrong thing to say, but like I care about representing myself well in the format and all these things, and I came to the conclusion I would rather do that on a deck that I can enjoy and kind of represent well through the experience of playing with me rather than topping or anything else like that. So.
Yeah, I think that like I was really impacted. Last year was so much fun. I took Blue Farm because I think I was on a bit of a hot streak with it, and I was like, I want to give myself a chance of like taking down like a really big tournament with this. But then I think I had the typical experience of pretty quickly going 0-3. At least typical for me.
Dropping, eating tacos.
I'm sure everyone watching has obviously won every single CDH game they've ever played.
Yeah.
I'm a standout by not being that. But then, and so it was just like a rough time, and I was like, I wish I brought like a different deck. I was actually playing I was actually at the time I was like, oh man, I wish I brought Lumra, because if I'm gonna lose, I might as well do it in cards that I have expensive versions of. But then talking to. Oh man, I'm totally blanking on his name right now. What's the Italian player's name from Hawaii? You guys know who I'm talking about?
Matt Hayes.
Matt Hayes.
Hat Maze.
Super duper cool guy. I was talking with him afterwards, and he was in a pretty similar point where he was on a losing streak earlier on in the tournament. But talking to him, he was like, I know the deck, I know myself. All I have to do is like make sure I'm still playing my best, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And then I ended up making top 16. And I was just walking around being like, what am I doing? And so I just want to put myself in a position where, if at the end of day 2 there's like the slimmest margin that I can make top 16, then I have all the tools in my toolkit to make sure that I'm able to boot, rally, eat a ton of like Korean barbecue, have a good time with the guys, and then come back and crush it the next day. But yeah, super duper excited to go. Going to be great traveling with the crew. And then I think there's a lot of critters. Have we decided what we're calling our fans yet?
We can't call them that.
We can't. Come on. There's what massive conglomerate of D&D content is going to come after us. I can't even think of
imagine
more than one. But yeah, it'll be tons of fun. If you guys are going, jump into the thread in the Critical EDH Discord. We want to hear if you're going. We want to see if you're there.
I can't believe that both of you turned down my offer of, if you play my farm list, I will just pay for your entry.
It'd be too easy. Blue Farm is the best deck in the format. You just play it and win.
See, that's the other thing. Like when you were talking about bringing it last year, in my head, I'm like, if I scrubbed out on Blue Farm, which I probably would, I would feel worse somehow, because I'm like, I'm not supposed to be losing right now.
It's the like, I definitely think there's a bit of a safety valve of playing a deck that like is not S triple plus tier, because it's the like, it is a very good deck, and it really relies on the technical proficiency of the pilot as well as their foundational skills. In a tournament setting, I think it's a strong enough deck that a lot of people could play it up and see some success. But I think if you want to play a deck long term and consistently see top 4, that doesn't happen by accident. I don't think Jason's just like rolled a d20 and gotten a 20. 1,000 times in a row. Like, I think he put a lot.
I've seen this man top deck a Commandeer blue card on a bullet too.
I mean, there's no way him and Max are cheating. It was next time. What are those looks for?
I don't think we can put all 5 of us in the room. I did want to say, like Austin, Jason, and I are behind the camera right now. We'll kind of rotate out as the episode goes on. But we do have a thread on adnos.gg for Fishbowl. So I think the idea is with adnos.gg, we can just kind of compile information as the events are happening and kind of plan as we're going up to the event, but also 3 months from now or 10 months from now or 2 years from now, we can go back and look at the thread and go, oh, here's all these cool pictures and all these things that happened at the event. So if you want to just kind of start adding more information and stuff into that thread, like go for it. That's the place to do it.
Yeah. Making connections. Adnos. Every time someone casts an adnos, I'm like, oh, they're just so together in this moment.
I was to say.
Jump cut.
Welcome back to Keeping Tabs.
Yeah, I'm Logan.
I'm Austin.
I took some photos at our locals on Friday and posted them up on Adnos, and I was just hoping to quickly kind of scroll through. So it's up to the guys to do that. But we got some good photos of all of us, which was nice.
Yeah, dude, first of the few, right?
Yeah, hopefully of many.
Yeah, first of many. First of many.
And then there's our local friend Sam and Eric's severely miscut Zuranorb.
Oh God, I remember when Eric got this, like when he was buying it, and I was like, "Can I get one?"
I actually really wanted the Mox Diamond that was for sale along with it, but it was like $2,200
Yeah.
or more. That's not in the budget. Here's Jason about to crash out about something.
Losing like he normally does.
Yeah.
You can keep going. You can fly through these a little bit. But yeah, it's fun. Like locals here, we're actually recording. If you notice that we're not at my house, we're recording at Level 7 in Englewood, same place where all these photos are taken. We're actually in the stream room right now, and it's a great space. Like it's a brand new store. We love Level 7 and all the things that they do, and especially the owner John. He's really great, and he does a really good job of supporting us and supporting the local scene, tournaments and stuff. I think this is when Jordan was winning on Farm. I'm pretty sure. Is that right, Jordan?
Just in a fun game or whatever?
That game was an abomination, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't just a fun.
Oh, you were playing Farm?
Yeah.
He actually
Oh,
played
hell yeah.
Farm,
Okay.
Rogsai killed themselves. Sisse then also killed themselves, and then
What?
You 1v1.
and I won. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Nice.
just like have that effect on people, or
Remember when I was talking about representing well by playing with?
Oh,
me?
by the way, that photo with Eric right there, that's Kevin. He's the Chatterfang player. So don't get...
And Elsha.
And Elsha, don't get spooked. People don't know what that guy looks like, but if he sits across from you, he's really good at this game.
fucking either run or draw.
He top 16'd at Cookout with Elsha.
Yeah. Had
he's-
some crazy games, dude.
Yeah. And then here's the outside of the store, just hanging out. And Sterling and his baby and wife. We did want to mention our league again. I think that's the next tab we have here. The October League is in full swing.
Yeah, full swing. I mean, games are going on at all times.
I think there's
shout out
7
to all of our
going right
partners.
now.
Yeah, something like that. I would like to pull it up on my phone, but that seems
Yeah, it's
whatever.
all right.
But no, all of our partners have been super great this month. Lots of shout outs. We've seen a lot of people come in through their Patreons, so that's awesome.
And we love supporting other content creators and artists and things like that. And that's our way to give back is like, hey, if you kind of just give us a little bit of a shout out about the league, and we'll give your Patreons or your customers free entry.
Also, if you are an artist out in the community, hit me up in Discord. I'm constantly talking to artists
him up.
about joining and being a partner in the league. So I mean,
we
it's awesome.
plan months in advance too, so or at least we try to. So we're already in the planning stage for November and December and onward.
But yeah, this month we have Hummingbird Altars, amazing altarist. I'm
cEDH.
sending my own stuff to him soon. So
I love something. We have a slide in a little bit with some of Hummingbird's work, and we'll kind of review that. But we're also partnering with cEDH TV. We had an interview with Eric and Pontus come up today, which is yesterday for you guys that are watching. And casting cost CEDH, strictly competitive EDH, and gosh, there's so many. Land Go Invitational. So if you win the league this month, you get an invite to the Land Go Invitational.
And that goes for next month and the month after?
4 months in a row. So last month, this month,
okay,
November and December.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
we'll revisit again whether we continue the relationship after.
Yep.
But so far, so good. And last but not least, Doot Loot. Doot is just awesome at providing really, really hard to get foreign language cards, especially foils, and
it's been harder to get them lately.
yeah, if you notice that like we kind of quieted down a little bit on our price support, especially the Japanese stuff, because
It's hard to get that stuff
we just
right now.
can't directly get it right now.
Yeah.
So it'll come back. And then pricing, this is the first month we're doing cash. So overall, $600 in cash pricing to everywhere from top 16 all the way up to first. And first I think it's $300, but also foil signed Mana Vault and 3 Japanese foil Mana Confluences to the top 4.
Yep.
And also an altar for all of those top 4.
Yeah,
from Hummingbird.
definitely. Yeah, we're sending Chromox for the first seat, and then we're doing some Birds of Paradise
Yeah.
to kind of keep it on brand with Hummingbird. So.
And we also just try to do cEDH staples. Like, we want cards that you want to play in
Absolutely.
your deck. Yeah. And then we are doing, last but not least, tiered as like we increased the number of players in the league. We already blew past the 400 player. We're nearing the 500 player.
Yeah.
And then there's a stretch goal for 600 as well. So those prizes all get added, and sometimes it's to players with the most points, or sometimes it's to players with the highest win, like opponent win percentage, or
Most
things
games
like that.
played.
Most games played.
Yeah.
If you can go to the next tab, please. If you want to read all the details about the league, this is the event page. We actually have an event page up now on Top Deck, and we did forget Top Deck. Top Deck is actually sponsoring us this month too.
Oh yeah. They are amazing as well.
Yeah, I mean, their software is great. They're totally kick-ass. They have updates.
They keep adding stuff to Top Deck.
Updates every week.
I think Zane put in some random, like, pooling data that you can look at, where you can be like, oh, this player plays often with this other player, and you can like look at their like total amount of games played that they've played together.
Wow.
Something along those lines. I think that was in their announcement this week.
It is the tournament software for this type of thing. Even outside of Magic, whether you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or
I think they're doing Riftbound.
Lorcana, Gundam, like everything, and that's
Crazy.
Beyblade, guys. Beyblade.
It is. Wait, are they?
No, yeah, they're doing
TopDeck.gg. Let it rip.
I think the big thing is like we see all these other tournament softwares crash, and they just can't support higher number of players or higher number of games. And
The only time Top Deck crashes is when we
we
have
need-
too many people in our league.
okay, but like everyone's gonna be like, oh well, that sucks. Like, you know, why doesn't Top Deck support it? Well, the side that you don't hear is I go, hey, we're having a problem, and then 5 minutes later it's fixed.
Yeah.
Like,
The message the last time it crashed was, I don't know how long this is going to be down for. 5 minutes later, all right, we're good. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm like making an announcement in the announcements channel, like, hey guys, just kind of do it manually for now, like keep track of your stats, and then immediately I'm like, I'm gonna retract this.
Yeah.
Like, it's all working and stuff. So it's been a really good experience working with them, and we're thankful for their support as well.
Yep.
This is kind of one that came up randomly. Tim won an event with Rocco.
Yeah, so this is actually just a continuation of our conversation with Tim.
Yeah.
He was kind of cooking on this deck a little bit before, and then we, off camera, were having the conversation of like, what is a type of deck that can take advantage of the current meta, and what is a good deck to be able to pause some of this turbo stuff, but then turn the corner when you want to. And so he came up with Rocco, and he's playing some Stax pieces in here. He's playing some Archon. He's playing playing Dranith.
Oh yeah, there's stacks pieces, but when you say he came up with Rocco, Tim has played Rocco for a while, but he has a vendetta. He has a point to prove.
Yeah.
He wants to be the first player to top a major event with Rocco, and he did. And that's why this is notable.
Yeah. He topped a 64-person tournament?
No, I think it was
out
like
in-
80 something.
Okay, out in New York, right?
No, this was
It's in the South somewhere.
it was
I
in
thought.
Tennessee, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But it was a really interesting event. I heard it was run really well, and he had an outstanding record throughout the event. And I just wanted to say congrats to him.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, I'm being honest, I got cooked by him at Cookout on this Rocco list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I misplayed pretty hard. I should have showed him a Force of Will, but I was being greedy.
Yeah.
And then he cooked me with the bell ringer line, the Jolly Balloon Man bell ringer line, and I was like, "That's so cool!" Like,
Balloon Man is so
anytime I die to Jolly Balloon Man, I'm like, "It's kind of cool. That's
you can do
fine."
that.
I love that card. So, but yeah, shout out to him. I think this is a really cool deck. I'm sure he's playing this at Fishbowl. So,
Maybe.
yeah,
I think he might be playing 2 of those colors at Fishbowl.
I'm terrified by what you have as an inside information.
Yeah, we'll talk later.
He's playing Selesnya?
No, I don't think so.
It's definitely Selesnya Selvala, the one that taps and does
God.
weird things.
The next 2 tabs I think are just we wanted to shout out Hummingbird and his Etsy. I think that's kind of the best way to get a look at what he does art wise. Did you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is just what he's been doing and has up on his page right now. He does a lot of like border extension stuff and like going on the frame. But yeah, I mean, he's in the community, which is something I really like. He constantly is playing, and he is one of the most beautiful Yoshi Thras decks I've ever seen in my
There's
life.
an absolutely insane video on YouTube.
Yeah.
He just goes over like everything, and it's
I
crazy.
think every card is altered, like
Yeah.
every single one of them, and it's absolutely beautiful. And like I said, I'm super stoked to send him out some stuff. So, yeah.
And then the next tab is check out his link tree. We'll have all of this stuff linked in the description below, and then I think we'll just pass it off to the next 2.
We have questions, and so do you. One of the things that we've been doing on adnos.gg is we've been trying to kind of like centralize some stuff, including one of the thread/forums that we have for questions that you guys have. So I'm here with Jason, and we
What's up,
are
guys?
super excited to jump in and hear what kind of questions you guys have. Jordan, do you mind reading the first one
you
out
got
for
it.
us?
From Squatch's Pop, a patron. Thanks, dude. There's been talk in prior vids and by other folks in the space of how WotC won't print new free counters, etc., due to how powerful that would be by today's standards. I think that Louis Swat sacrificing the new web-swinging Spidey one or their attempts at giving options to other formats for low-cost interaction that doesn't warp standard. However, I'm curious to hear what you all think would be an acceptable card design that might fit into today's landscape. Is it possible to print a free counter in 2025, and if so, what downside would that have?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Yeah. So starting out, I don't think Magic had free interaction. I think that's something that kind of got added along the way.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the times you'll see as powerful cards get printed, they then immediately get like not unprinted, but like you'll log into like Magic the Gathering Arena and then you'll see like a ton of cards with like red borders on them. So I feel like there's a history of them trying to like make things as powerful as possible and then taking just like a step maybe too far, you know, for like modern or vintage or legacy. So I think I really, really like the angle of approach that this question has of like, what is the most powerful it can be without being like too powerful? Because I think once you have free,
The biggest thing is that it has to benefit control archetypes more than turbo archetypes. Because if you're gonna print another free piece of interaction, that's gonna benefit both archetypes if they're almost like powered up in that sense.
Yeah. What do you think if it was like, because I think we already have some counter spells. Is foil the one that you have to exile like 2 blue cards along with it?
You've got to discard a blue card and discard an island and counter target spell.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a good example of something that potentially like is a little too specific in terms of like cost. It's like even if you're in like mono blue, that's going to be like pretty difficult to be able to pull off. What do you think about like what came to my mind as Jordan was reading this question is the gift mechanic from Bloomborough. What if we saw something like a force negation where it's like really powerful, but it has some limitations on what it can hit. It's still free, but like in addition to having to like exile something or like return island to hand, a la like Days or something, if you like you gift opponent a card.
Gotcha. I was thinking more upon the lines of like a mind break trap where it's like a singular opponent has to cast 3 different spells. So it like turns off Storm basically, right? Or it attacks the Storm mechanic, and you can't really protect your own spell if you yourself are casting like an ad nauseum.
Yeah.
No one else is really gonna cast 3 spells to counter your ad naus. or a different thing I was thinking about is like Commandeer, right? You exile 2 specifically blue cards for a steel mechanic or something like that. Even if it was just counter target spell, that's still super expensive, right? Super limited in that regard. 2 blue cards.
Yeah, or maybe like a sudden substitution style effect where like this idea of like you get the really powerful spell that they're getting and then they get some sort of effect in return.
Sure, but then we have to weigh the position, right, on what you're giving up in order to gain that advantage. So like, let's say there's an opponent's ad nauseum on the stack, and you cast our new spell. What's the downside of this spell? Do we just give them like 10 cards for free? Or, like,
now they have 10 cards and all the life. That's so. And then then we also have like the question of like that gets brought up when we see like in a lot of turbo lists, they'll put in an offer you can't refuse because they want to hit their own spells with it. Because that was something that came out in New Capenna where they were kind of looking to put a very aggressive counterspell in, but balance it so that someone isn't just absolutely like blown out. But then that's why like a lot of like Necropotence lists will run an offer you can't refuse and like snapback.
Or any free cards for that matter.
Yeah, so that's interesting. One potential solution, and this may be controversial.
Hold on, before you move on, can you relate? So you mentioned like there has to be like a downside and an upside for. It has to be like slanted towards control and not like turbo, right?
Yeah.
Can you relate that idea to the original like Force of Will and like how that works?
Sure. So like a big thing is in 60 card format, right? If you have Force of Will, you're able to protect your own combo piece versus something like that's now printed within the last couple of years is Force of Negation, right? Only on opponent's turns can you use this piece of free interaction. Like if you introduced Force of Will, and I was talking to Jay about this, I think it was a Modern tournament he sent me recently where it was no lands, Goblin Charbelcher combo with Tameshi and everything like that with the Lotus Blooms. And if you were able to put into that deck Force of Will instead of Force of Negation, that deck would be tier 0 because you could protect your own combo on your turn without any mana up.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, whereas like Force of Negation or earlier you talked about like Mindbreak Trap, while they have the benefit of being free, connected to that cost is an inherent limitation that points the lens of the counterspell away from your board towards your opponent's hands. Because, I guess with Force of Negation, like, you can use it to protect your combo, but you have to be doing it at, like, flash speed. Or, like, technically...
Or you hard cast it for 3 mana, which is a hard cost.
It's no longer, like, a free counterspell. Or Mindbreak Trap can, like, technically protect your own stuff, but if... like other players have like cast 3 spells, then inherently you're in a situation where everyone kind of already is in this like milieu like spell battle, as opposed to like if you're casting like Adnos where you're turboing out, you can't use Mindbreak Trap to protect your lead that's super far ahead of other players.
For sure.
Is that kind of like what you were mentioning? That's a really interesting perspective. I was going to say we should bring back Nightbound and Daybound, but that is I think your take is way more valid. I was going to say free counterspell, but it has to be at night.
What are your guys' thoughts on like the design space of Redirect Lightning coming out in Avatar?
Ooh.
So that's like a very aggressive costed like misdirection, but it punishes life like a lot. Right? So like that card will not probably see play in standard because that's a quarter of your life getting played. But in cEDH, we definitely should look at something like that.
I really love that it's a 1-drop so it can redirect mental misstep. That's the biggest thing that SWAT can't do right now. Personally speaking, I think it will definitely go into like lower color shells or more hard control shells that are not looking to win the game within the first 3-ish turns of the format.
I'm also a huge fan of pieces of interaction that are activated with a Simian Spirit Guide or an Elvish Spirit Guide. I think that a lot of times if you're at a pod without any blue, everyone, someone always brings it up. No one ever finds out in the middle of a game that they're in a bond with them blue. It always comes out during the mulligan phase, and then I think everyone automatically starts to try and play like a little bit faster, like a little bit quicker, because there's this idea that there are less elements in the game that can hinder your own combo. And so I like redirect lightning because like a Godo player is going to be able to like shut down like some like peer into the abyss, like Hoarding Broodlord line. And I think I like the idea that redirect lightning, I feel like meaningfully complicates the relationship between turbo and mid-range in a way that pushes deck complexity forward. So I like it.
So I also think it's super healthy that like they've kind of like restricted it in a sense where it's like paying 5 life is a pretty decent margin, right? It's 1/8 of your life total in this format. And I think it's great to view the relationship between like high color soup piles and then lower colors piles in general. So I think like mono red will love this spell. High color soup piles might not like this card.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear. Something that comes to mind is like Magda players. Is this like an auto include? Because as someone who doesn't play mono red, I don't think I've ever played mono red except for the first CEDH game I played where Austin let me borrow his Godo list. So first and last time I played mono red, it feels to me like it would be like an auto include because it seems like it would be just like a better untimely malfunction kind of thing.
For sure.
But maybe if some of you guys are really big brewers or have spent more time in mono red than I have, I know it's really difficult to think of someone who's played more than one mono red deck. Let us know. What about, speaking of let us know, Jordan, what's our next question?
Yeah, from Greyface Gaming, what are your thoughts on keeping ahead of the meta? What are some ways we can anticipate how it will change and adapt while it's still relevant as opposed to adapting too late and always being a step behind? Cut mine, break trap.
Don't
Don't cut my break trap.
But only against me. Jason, have you ever felt like you were ahead of the meta? Have you ever been in a tournament and you're like, shit, I'm like 2 days ahead of everyone here?
That's actually a really hard thing to process fundamentally because you have to view the meta in a full lens, right? You don't get everyone's deck list when you come to the tournament. So you kind of have to base your own views on the games you play, which is inherently biased, right? Because like, let's say I'm winning a lot, right? You might not view the meta as terrible or stacksy, blah, blah, blah. And if you're losing, right, you might not encounter like turbo.
Yeah.
You might not encounter it mid-range. So it's a very varied thing to think about. But I think overall, in order to stay ahead of the meta, you kind of just have to stay as a brewer and then think about what's meta right now and then what kind of attacks this current meta. And you can see like cards from then that will attack now. And you can also see it in the past, right? A biggest thing is Blue Farm used to be this super turbo deck, and I guess it is now again. But when Brian Koval started playing cEDH, he picked up Tim the Crom, and he innovated the deck to be more like Hate Bears, more mid-range Esper Staxy. So like you'd see your Lavinias, that sort of effect in the meta to attack Rogsai was the biggest offender of the current meta at the time. Or even Winota was also part of this meta, whether it's turbo or stacks, right? Because she has a very broken effect attached to her, and that's where we saw like the introduction of like Containment Priests, more Swords to Plowshares, more on-hand removal to remove Winota to play the mid game, and then like you slam your Lavinias to attack Rogsai.
Yeah, that's I think something I really, really like about that is, think about Winota. Like, it's very difficult to find something that stops triggered ability of a creature consistently, like more than once. And the other thing I think that's really difficult about that is I don't know if Winota was ever popular enough that like you were guaranteed to see it in every single game you played. Like, it was strong. It definitely had like a healthy spot of the meta.
I actually disagree with you.
Really?
On that one.
You've been around longer than I have. So
like just a couple of years ago, it was like Winota was regarded as like a top 5 deck in the format.
Really?
Like,
okay.
Like, just you would see it everywhere. You would see it alongside Kinnan. Blue Farm was actually less prevalent than
Interesting.
Winota.
Okay. Yeah,
So that was like before Thoracle and Breach, right?
It was around the time Thoracle and Breach were introduced, and even then, like I started playing cEDH in like 2022, and I would see so much Winota around.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, because that was not the case when I kind of came on the scene. So that I think that makes me revisit my thought a little bit. But something I was going to say is I think that when you're looking to attack a meta, I think it's very difficult to attack like a particular deck. And then I think it's also really important that you don't do it at the detriment of your own game plan.
For sure.
Like it's very difficult, like Containment Priest isn't exactly like a win condition. You can't like, oh, I'm going to cast Containment Priest infinite times. Eat that, suckers. But Blind Obedience is a win condition. And I think that is a good way of like, if you notice that there's a lot of like turbo decks and you're losing to these ad nauseas, they just come out of nowhere. It's something that's very easy to cast on like turn 1. It's very like multifunctional. You can do a lot of things with it, including like win the game. And I think that is something I try to think about, going back to the original question of like, if I'm looking to attack the meta, I don't just want to be like taking the top decks down. I want to be bringing my deck up. And so finding either like a more efficient combo that, you know, if we see like Force Negation and Swansong getting cut, maybe I'm a little bit more willing to lean on like a sorcery early on to like get me across the finish line. Or if we're seeing things like just absolutely become super duper grindy mid range, I think that's when we saw a lot of people adding like Mirror Maiden, copying Gem in, because then you're finding ways of keeping parity with all these like Rhystic studies. So I think those are the things I try to think about is like, I want to be able to like pump the brakes on other decks, but I also always want to be like pressing the gas in my own game plan. It's something I think about. I don't know. What about you guys? Is there anything that you guys can kind of think of like net decking, you know, meta busters?
I think just trusting your gut is part of it, and Jason's gonna roll his eyes, but like I feel like I'm going in the right direction with farm right now. It just I'm cutting, I'm trimming the fat. I'm like, I feel like I'm just pushing just as hard as Rogsai, but also like we have a more reliable game plan than Rogsai, right? Because we have backup plans, and we can also just convert with like the silence effects, and it just feels good. But it's funny, you were talking about Winota, and you're like, I don't think it's that popular, but like I'm 99% sure that Comedian and his wife Lua met over Winota.
That's so fun.
So like
awesome.
it was pretty damn popular. Like, but yeah, it's just kind of interesting. I think that staying on the bleeding edge of the meta is something that's very, very hard to do. And even the best players, like I don't think that it's required to be a really good player, but you'll see out these like standout like decks. I think even like we talked about Tim playing Rocco,
yeah,
and that could be a meta call right now where he's like, hey, everything's moving fast, but like I have the ability to slow it down very quickly, and then I can kind of play my own game from there. Do I think it's the best deck in the format? Probably not, but it is good, and it's like he's winning games with it, so who am I to say?
Yeah, I think that's also a good point before we move on to our next question, is pay attention to other brewers. I think I always like keeping a couple, I like following like everyone in like the Critical EDH crew. I love going on Moxfield and seeing if you guys are on stuff. And then there's also a couple other people like Cousin Two Chains puts like 10 decks out like a day. You know, or I'll try to follow like the big brewers of the main decks, you know, like Pigeon on Rock Darts or things like this. Is I think I am only able to extend my understanding of the meta to the amount of games that like I have played. Because I can like look at someone's other listing and say, oh, they're probably in a more controlling meta than I am. But when I'm putting lists together, I'm not going to be keeping in mind that one Moxfield list that I looked at. You know, I just don't have the capacity to keep that much information in one place. But those people do. You know, there are players in California brewing for the California meta. There's players up in like the New England scene brewing for the New England scene. And so as much as I can kind of like take a snapshot or just keep an ear to the conversations that they're having, I think that can also be really, really helpful, because then sometimes you'll see instances where another meta is taking a charge or speeding up faster than our meta is, and you can take some lessons from how those players converted mid-range decks into turbo decks. I think that's like another thing that's kind of helpful. So yeah, love getting to be a part of a community where a ton of people are always brewing.
What was a really interesting listen to was Sam Black's his like newest podcast episode. He was talking about Graveyard Rogdrass, and he was like, yeah, because he's been like very against Breach, right? Like against Breach in general. And he basically admitted that the reason why he is so against it is because his local meta is like there's a lot of stacks, but also a lot of turbo.
Yes.
And like Breach is not good in his local meta, and that's why he's had very bad experiences with the card. But then went into a national level and was like, oh, I understand why everyone's on Breach. This makes sense now. And so like it's a really interesting listen to like hear a very, very high level player talk about the meta when it comes to a local level to then a national level as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think that's I think top players are another great resource, and then especially I think something notable about Sam Black is he's played a ton of other formats aside from cEDH. So not to say that you can just pull some like random combo from like Vintage and then it's going to just absolutely crush in cEDH. I mean, like keep in mind that you're moving across formats, but I think that can also be a helpful inspiration. Yeah,
hang out where top players hang out, play where top players play, and if both of those things are the critical EDH Discord and our league, I mean, like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah, that's not my fault. I'm always in top 4. That's not true of me. Jordan, what's our next question?
I was gonna say, can we swap you and Jordan? And
Oh, yeah.
I'll have you read some questions.
Heck yeah, get in here. Question number 3 by Thrifty. Grindy games can often result in 3 to 4 triggers getting trapped on the stack for each spell cast, which makes resolving a full stack without missing any triggers very difficult, especially if players are talking over each other or trying to move quickly to resolve partial stacks. This can result in situations where missed triggers, like a forced draw from an Esper Sentinel, could have a major result in the outcome of a game. The core community is very vocal to new players about tracking the stack for the table because they're often the ones putting the most triggers on it. Should all players be taking a little more time to represent stacks physically, ergo withdraw erase tokens to avoid potential rule violations?
I think this is something that, and Logan, I don't know if you get this from having a background in Krark, but this is something I see you do a lot that's been really helpful for me when I first started learning. And I think everyone is like at least a little bit responsible to the health of the stack in that way. And I think it, particularly as it pertains to onboarding new players into the format, I think it's super beneficial to do things like this.
I honestly think more players should be doing this in general. Shout out to our local Stephen Gray. I have 20 of his tokens or whatever I stole from Logan. And I literally use those to represent the stack every game I play, just because sometimes I'm in those quote-unquote high resource games, and you just have to track every trigger you control. The biggest thing is that I recommend all opponents do this as well. You're not in charge of your opponent's triggers, and your opponent's missing their triggers because you didn't track it is not your fault. You can't be labeled as cheating for that, anything like that. Your opponents are just required to keep track of their own triggers. But just to move on, I think this is like the best way to keep track of the stack in general. Is it gets very messy with like 6 Ristics, whatever in play, and like they said, right? Even a single Esper Sentinel miss could be like your own downfall, but like continually missing all your triggers, right? You could have missed out on 20 mana in Smothering Tides, 20 cards in Ristic Study draws, just because you didn't keep track of your own triggers.
This is most important online because it's sometimes hard to see what your opponents have on board, and you're not physically near them, right? You're looking at a screen, you have your own playmat in front of you, but if you can keep track of the stack when things start to get complicated, even just a little bit, you say like, okay, wait, hold on a second. Let me put some triggers down so that we can represent what the stack looks like. It makes it much clearer for everyone. And like the whole point is not to obscure or obfuscate what the stack is. It should be clear for everyone. Mm-hmm. And like Jason said, it's not your responsibility to be like keeping track of your opponent's triggers, but if your opponents declare a trigger, and you're the one keeping track of the stack, put it on the stack. It's not that complicated. Yeah. I think the other thing is I saw a player learning a new list last night on the league, miss triggers, and they literally lost because of those missed triggers, because they didn't have enough mana from Tithe. I'm like, you should start associating if you have a smothering tithe and someone says, "Can I draw from Ristic?" If you hear the word "draw," you immediately start saying tithe trigger. You start like putting a trigger on the stack. You have to start making these associations in your head, so when stacks become complicated, it's second nature to you.
Do you think that a visual representation like this is the best way to help build your own trigger discipline, or are there other things that you all have found are helpful in getting better at that?
It is best to keep on your own boogie board or within a mental process on what triggers you control, right? And that should be like something that you remind yourself at all times. And this is also like something adjacent to stacks pieces, right? You want to make sure that you remember there's a Draneth Magistrate in place so you don't randomly cast the Underworld Breach into it.
You could do that the way that I did, though, and exile your Thoracle to PFB with the Draneth out, and then realize what you did after. That's another way that you don't do that again.
I think the like greatest representation I have of this question is just earlier this year in February. My round 1 of Snowy Summit went 72 minutes into overtime, and the stack was literally on Evan's playmat all the way to mine, wrapping back around, and I think I had 80 treasures or something in play.
And Eric was taking a nap during this.
Eric woke up before the round ended and was like, "What the fuck?"
Cotton 4K.
The other example I wanted to give, there was a judge call in our league where a player had remembered a pact trigger too late, and they couldn't pay for it. And so their opponent's like, no, that goes on the stack now. You have 4 mana. Sorry, like you have to pay for it. And there was a judge call about it, and the judge is like, yeah, it's your responsibility to remember that trigger. And like it sucks, and that's a hard lesson to learn. But I'd rather people learn it in the league than learn it in a tournament. But also like if you have a trigger representing your pact trigger, and you untap and you stare at your library, and it's like, oh, I can't draw this card because I have like a trigger setting on top of it. Yeah, that's a little bit easy to remember. And sometimes we need that physical something to represent it.
Yeah, I feel like you don't need the pressure of being like the trigger police. Like if you're at a table and someone like misses an Esper Sentinel trigger, you probably shouldn't take personal responsibility for that. But you should be the person at the table who knows what's going on. I think even if you're not like casting spells, that's a great way to mentally keep yourself in the game is by paying attention to the stack. And then also, I don't know if you guys, all the time I'll see triggers go in the stack for like Ristic and Smothering Tithe before someone's declared targets. I see that happen all the time. And then suddenly,
Or before they pay for spells.
Oh my God, yeah. And so now we're revisiting the Deadly Rollick like 10 years later, and now we're just hearing what the target is. Yeah, I don't know. Can you guys think of anything else that kind of stands out to you guys?
That's about it.
Okay. Next, we've got a question by this Basic Lich, who is a patron. A patron. Thank you. With lesson cards coming back in the Avatar set, and probably Strixhaven 2, plus some TMNT cards that affect the sideboard, there's been some speculation about whether Wizards might update the rules to actually let EDH use sideboards. How do you think sideboards would affect cEDH? I doubt we'd be sideboarding between games or anything, but I'm curious if Wish/Lesson cards would actually matter, or if it'd just be a cool idea that doesn't really change much.
I think, so personally speaking, I think like sideboards and everything are pretty, obviously it's unexplored in EDH because you can't sideboard in between games. But if like you had to think about it overall, right? The higher suit piles don't really care about sideboarding necessarily, but I think it'll have a bigger effect on lower color suit or lower color piles. Just like something that I think about is our local Tyler who plays Arkham Dagson. You can now put your Mycosynflatus into your sideboard, and you can grab it with Karn now. That's like the biggest thing, and then you basically free up a slot for like interaction or whatever to make your 99 that you start the game better.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what they said, but there was that like Mardu Melding of the Minds podcast recently. It was like Bad Dog, Croce, and Kellen. And there was an invitational in California a few years ago that did have a sideboard. And it was, you could even change your commander, which was super crazy. But there was a really interesting conversation around the context of this, and I think this question comes specifically from that white. It's like a white gifts ungiven. Basically, they're printing in TMNT.
But
you
sure.
can take cards from anywhere to pull those in, which is kind of crazy.
From my perspective, I think wish boards would be so sick. I like having access to Burning Wish, Glittering Wish, and Wish as a spell. I think that would open up a lot of interesting dynamics in our format. Like that sounds really cool. But I think what Jason said about Karn, I think, is actually the real answer, is that Karn would see a lot more play too.
Yeah.
I think a conversation that we've had is that like with stacks, you often struggle to like turn the corner. And so if like with the Karn, is it Mycosynth Lattice that you can use to lock the table out?
Yeah.
Then you just like plus them up a few times, and then you pull in, your Aether Drift, or your Aether Flux Reservoir, or something like that. I think this provides like other options for people to kind of have like dual routes that they can then pick whichever one is most necessary for the current board state.
I will take the opposite stance and say this adds way too much unpredictability to the format, and we're already struggling with that. I think
That's true. Yeah.
You don't know what decks you're going up against at the table, and like even what archetype they're running. Sure, you can presume with like Blue Farm or Rogthrast or whatever, but if we're all having 15 card wish boards, it's already 100 card singleton. There's probably 300 different cards at the table, 250 cards at the table that are different, and then we're adding more just random things because there's no penalty to putting any of these cards in your sideboard. So you can put random anything that you want. You're like, oh, this is a random hate piece. I can grab this random hate piece, or I can grab this like.
Get in there, Nadu.
Oh my God, Containment Priest sideboard. Let's go, baby.
No, I just think
it has flash.
I think it removes a lot of the nuance and like deck building from cEDH, and I really hope it doesn't go this way.
Next one, from a comment from the wish board is Welder ZE, also a patron. They say, what do you, Jason and Jordan, think the best way to learn your role in a game is? How do you think your role in a game changes based on seat order versus pod composition?
Before I answer this question, shout out, that's our local tie-in player from...
Oh, no way!
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
But I think the best way to understand your role in the game is just understanding the pod dynamics. And the way I explain this is like how do you... There are two questions you should ask yourself here. How do you win the game, and how do you not lose the game in this pod? And you have to like kind of find a fundamental line between those two based on what your pod is. Like if you're thrown into a triple Rogside pod, how are you winning that, right? How do you get to the end state where you have your combo on the stack and they can't respond, right? And if you're playing Tayam, I guess stacks is your best option in your triple Rogside pod.
Probably true. I don't know. Part of this is just going to be me answering a question with a question, but do you find that it helps you identify your role better by playing different decks more regularly, so you can kind of see how you fit into situations better? Or do you learn your role best by learning a list in and out and being able to identify its position in a table?
I think being able to like master a deck is the most important thing you can do in this format, just because you understand your own fundamental being on where you're in the game. Obviously, it will help if you start exploring and branching out to other decks. This is what I started doing last year, is just exploring other decks. And then from that, you can understand what a deck is planning to do, right? I've had a large array of decks proxied, whether it's like Talion, whether it's Rocco, whether it's Atali, right? And then you understand their fundamental base on what they're doing, right? It's like if you give a random deck like, oh, here's Tim the Dargo, right? It's like it's a very like hard to interact with mid-range creature focused combo deck where it relies on like the Dargo like almost pulling your punches for you, and like you have to think about like your Dargo math, all of that. And if you're able to translate that to like your main deck, right, you're able to see the red flags on their board, right? Oh, they have a prize statue in play. They're able to cast Argo for 1 red next turn and have a payoff for it. And you can see that away, and then like from there you can be like, oh, I can jam right now because I know they don't have interaction. They're not playing blue.
Yeah.
I know that I don't get another turn if I pass the turn, so I just jam here. And it's kind of like you have to understand what your opponents are doing, but it's the most important what you choose to do yourself.
I have a question for you guys. Let's imagine that we're in Fishbowl top 4. You know, it's you two, me and Austin. Logan got back-to-back by Gyruda player. Hypothetically. Austin's on Gwenum. He's swung out dealt combat damage. Aether Flux is on the stack. I'm next in priority on Lumra. I say, Jason, you're on blue farm. Jordan, you're on Dardu. You've got white mana. You've got a silence in hand. You've got a force of will. I'm not supposed to respond here. I'm passing. What do you guys say to me in that situation to get me to do anything?
Is there anything you even can do in that situation?
Okay, first off, leave. But I guess that's a good line of inquiry is okay, you brought a cEDH deck to a tournament and you're in top 4. There's no way, there's literally nothing you can do here. I say, well, I can respond. So let's say that's my response. I'll say I can respond, but if I respond here, then I'm not going to be able to stop you guys later. I feel like that's something a lot of cEDH players say.
That is something a lot of other cEDH players say.
Is it something a lot of good cEDH players say?
Well, I say it all the time, so whatever that means. I say everything all the time. That's just a loud guy.
It's a very specific scenario in which the decks are very parasitic.
Yeah.
And it's super hard to reply to that. If you were passing priority to me to respond to a Aether Flux Reservoir on the stack, let's see. I think I might have to bite the bullet as being the only blue deck at the table. Also, given that Aether Flux Reservoir, once it comes down as a activated ability, so it's not even a enforceable deactivation.
Right.
And his silence is irrelevant in this scenario once that comes down.
Also true.
I think as your role changes in a pod, your window changes too.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because in locals last Friday on game 2, I saw that there was a Rog Thras player diagonal from me, and then 2 non-blue decks next to me, and I'm like,
3 non-blue decks, you mean?
Oh yeah, basically. I mean, basically, right? That's identifying and knowing the decks that are at the table. Turn 1, I just passed and played something past, and Rog Thras just dumps their hand, and I'm like, oh, cool. I have free turn 2 knots. There's nothing anyone can do about this.
Yep.
And you just send it. That's my role at the table was to play turbo better than everyone else because no one can stop me. And I think that even though that's a kind of a minor thing, it wins you the game. So I could have just as easily have tutored for a turn 2 Ristic and not done that. And then I'm playing my role incorrectly.
Do you guys find yourselves in situations where you're oh, I'm supposed to be turboing as long as this question is asked by a Time player. As long as Time deploys a stacks piece, I'm good, right? And then they put a Kithkin down or something, and you're like, what are you doing, Time? I need a rule of law right now. Play your role. How do you then play in situations where something very unexpected happens, and suddenly there's a Tim Dargo player playing stacks, which could be anyone in the room.
Happen. Yeah.
Hypothetically, could be either me, Logan, or Austin. Or if you have a blue player who's being exceptionally they're obviously sandbagging 4 counter spells, and you're you have to jump in and counter this ad nauseam.
Pass priority.
I mean, I think that's something that I heard from you early on was there comes a point where you get better at a player when you recognize it's better to pass here on the off chance that the next person can't do anything than to interact and you just die because you spent everything you had.
Yeah, it's also this idea, right? It's like, are you just a frog in a boiling pot, right?
Ooh.
Right? Like you can counter this force, but are you going to win this game later because of that?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest idea you have to think about.
I think too, like understanding your role is like very, very fluid from even turn to turn, and I think that's something that
It can change on
Yeah,
a dime
immediately.
just from drawing a singular card.
right? Like you could look at your opening, whatever, 7, and then your top deck completely changes your game plan. Or you think you're going to vamp tutor on first turn rotation for X, Y, or Z, and then the deafening silence game that we were just talking about right before this. Like my game plan was tutor Lotho, and it's like, oh, that's pretty bad now. I don't think Lotho makes treasures anymore, really.
This is not the time for a shy riff.
But you have to be able to adapt to that situation and not get frustrated by another player not playing what you perceive their role to be, right? Like everyone's working their game plan at any given time. And I think there's a fine line between committing to yours and recognizing where yours has to change because of other people's.
Awesome. Any other thoughts? No.
Land Go came out and basically said anyone that has been DQ'd from their events will be serving a year-long ban, no matter what the DQ is for. But this is in relation to something that happened at the cookout. Everyone already knows what happened at the cookout. But I think that this is really, really, really good for the format. Personally, I think that if you are a TO, you should kind of be following suit and kind of be working together on a list for everyone at this point, because certain players shouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it took a lot of balls to do this from Land Go because it hasn't been done in forever in our format. It's really interesting to me because we are like a community-run format, and I know that they did not want to be like the arbiter of this decision or to be the person that made this decision lightly. But yeah, I think it's really good though. Like I think that there should be consequences to people's actions, right? Whether that be for unsportsmanlike stuff, for cheating, for anything like that. I just hope that all of the TOs kind of get on board.
Yeah, I mean, within the league, we've opted to follow the same list, both for everything you said and our like relationship with Landgo. And I think that's something I've been thinking about with this is cEDH is in this really incredible position now with like, there's so many channels growing, there's so many streaming opportunities happening, there's so much visibility to the top level of playing that we aren't used to seeing. And with that's going to come a lot of new people to the format and a lot of new exposure. And so being really tight on how we play, especially if you're going to be in a situation like on a stream table or whatever, and then holding others to a like standard of really tight play is only going to benefit the format in the long run. So I think this is a good thing. It's a great thing.
Agreed.
In the tweet, they say no less than 1 calendar year. Do you think we can expect to see this expanded a year from now?
If you take like what Wizards has done in their like formats and their arbitrary way of doing things, they give people like a year-long suspension, and then the next time they cheat, they are banned for life. Which I think that that's what this should go with. Like I think that all of the TOs should go with that. My opinion.
That makes sense to me.
And for us, I think following this, it was not only because of our involvement with Landgo and them, like we're basically a feeder for their invitational at this point, but also I think we all agreed it's the right thing to do. I think that TOs need to work together to. I think putting people on a list is not ideal. No one wants to be on a list. No one wants to put anyone on a list, but to the same extent, if we have issues that are serious enough that warrant this type of action, then I think other TOs should follow suit.
Yep.
I think just generally speaking, this is just for the health and the benefit of the format, right?
Absolutely.
Like we're not doing this just because we think this is funny or fun. I just think it will help grow our format more than it won't.
Oh, the contrary. We fucking hate this. Like, we don't want players to be cheating or getting DQ'd. Like, that's not good
Yeah.
in general.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not good behavior, anything like that. And at the end of the day, this is a card game, right? It's not a right, it's a privilege.
Yeah, I think also like just the fact that they didn't put it just for cheating, like it's for any DQ. Like the fact that you can get DQ'd for unsportsmanlike
Major.
politicking.
Yeah, it would be like a USC major.
Yeah.
Or like repeat offense, or stalling, or
Any of those reasons why you get DQ'd, the fact that they are willing to put a 1-year ban on you, I think is really good. I think just in general, like people needed to see a consequence of their actions, and this is finally it, right? And I think it's really good.
Yeah, and it's first and foremost a social format. Like even played at the most competitive level, you are choosing to engage in like a very social contract defined situation. And I think it behooves you as an individual and the format as a whole to like decide I'm going to be a player who acts with a lot of integrity and like tries to play to the highest degree I can without ever compromising on my values as a person or as a player. And I think that this takes a great step towards that.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to get expanded on, right? We are hearing the rumblings of each region having their own circuits, and like if that happens, which I think it will be happening, specifically at least on the West Coast, like it is much easier to get all of the TOs that are associated with that circuit to jump on board because they're all associated with each other, rather than one TO over here and one TO over here and one TO over here, right? So I really do think that people are probably just going to adopt this, and I hope that they do.
Something I also like about it is, well, I think I very much like the idea that cEDH is kind of like this Wild West in a lot of ways. A consequence of that I've seen is that in lieu of a ruling body, I think a lot of times the community members have kind of picked up the role of like vigilante justice in lieu of this. And I think this is a much better medium for communicating to the community like best practices and like what the community tolerates than like various forms of like harassment or like other forms of like what I would consider like intolerable like behavior.
So you're saying I shouldn't name drop people that lied to me?
I mean, you can do that if you want. I'm not going to stop you.
I mean, just as long as it's not like stapled to a death threat. But I think that exactly like you guys are saying, like we're an incredibly like social format, and I think that we need to solve problems in a way that like move us forward. And exactly like Logan and Jason were saying, it doesn't really, we're not like a better place because there's people who like used to be coaches and content creators and now they're not allowed at like tournaments anymore. Ideally, there would be like
this is a loss in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right. There's good and bad that comes with it, and I think it's important to recognize that.
Yeah.
The other thing you mentioned about like how this is like legitimizing our format in a lot of ways, that's really important because we're in this weird area where we're not sure if we're going to get support from Wizards or any recognition from Wizards. And the more things that we do like this, I think the less that we need that support.
Yeah, I think this is inevitable, right? Like I really do think that it was inevitable for TOs or some type of community-run thing to sit down and have the conversation about being like, look, if you're cheating or unsportsmanlike or DQ'd for any reason, like you're just out, right?
And to be clear, the standard for being DQ'd is fairly high.
It's really high.
Yeah, true.
Like, you get warnings and you get all kinds of stuff up to that, or you commit an offense that is deemed to be so serious that you get DQ'd on the spot. But like
DQ'd on accident, bro.
that is the big point. You really cannot get DQ'd on accident.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, so there is that story of like Memo out in Europe that like he got DQ'd from an event, but it was like his own like he committed a GRV which was and gained benefit which had him cheat in a game essentially.
That was stalling on an
okay.
with the Tinder wall.
Yeah.
So it was the big thing is he had no castable spells for this Tinder wall.
Okay.
And was debating in the last 20 seconds of the round timer whether or not to crack this Tinder wall. And then once time hit, he decided, oh, time's done. Like, that's it.
Right.
But that's stalling.
Yeah, and he did get DQ'd from, I think he self-DQ'd, right? I'm not 100% exactly sure how that happened. It was before I played in the format. It was just something I read. But I hope that stuff like that doesn't necessarily lead to a year-long ban, because
I think stuff
it's a
like
little
that,
bit different, right?
Well, here's the thing. We've already set the precedent, right?
Yeah.
If you get DQ'd, this will happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that will probably stop happening because
That's
players
true.
will realize, like, oh, there's actually consequences for me playing a certain way.
To stalling.
Where
which-
there were
good,
not
hopefully.
consequences before.
Another perspective I would have is thinking of all the people who have like played with cheaters or in the weeks before someone got caught for cheating, and how many negative experiences that generated, and the amount of people who have probably walked away from the format because they had problems that they felt like weren't taken seriously.
Yeah.
And if I hope that if I find myself in a situation where I somehow on accident get DQ'd, I am so for the cEDH community. I would hope that I'd be able to like take one on the chin, take a year off, and then trust that like when I come back, now I know better, and in that time people will have like moved on. I think that there will probably be some situations where people feel like someone shouldn't, they should only get like a month or two instead of like a whole year. But I think that you do need to have like a baseline.
Yep.
And I would hope that this inspires people to take that much more time when they're gold fishing or playing with their friends to take keeping track of their triggers seriously, because just like we said, it is a privilege. And I would hope that as we try to hold the format to a higher standard so the Wizards takes us seriously, we are in return able to take our own self seriously, so that if something like this happens, like I don't know, like if I cheat, I should be called a cheater. Like that's my perspective. Hot take.
the hot take from Eric over there.
All right, I think we've talked enough about this.
Yep.
Now let's talk about something fun. What the fuck? Why is there a 5-color partner commander?
It's a good question, right? I thought this was really interesting. In the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles spoilers, they released a 5-color partner commander. Now, we don't have anything good to go with this yet, but if we do get like a 1-mana commander or a 0-mana commander, I think this is going to see a lot of play in our format, just because it's colors.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's cool that they're exploring this design space of highly specified partners. Like the PlayStation Super Drop has this with Joel and Ellie and Abby and Ellie and a couple of other characters. Atreus and Kratos have it as well, but it's like, that's what you're locked to. And so I think it's like similar to how Gwen Stacy and some of the other Spider-Man cards are like, I view them as a strictly fixed version of partners. I think this is the same thing. But yeah, dude, we get a 0 or 1 drop. This is, I think, playable as all hell.
Yeah, I mean, just like having a 1-drop commander that turns on all your free interaction in Amber and then being a 5-color deck is insane. I think just the colors alone make this playable if we get that 1-mana commander.
Is there a 2-mana so far for it?
There's
that set?
2 of them, I think.
Okay.
There's a green one, and I don't know what the other ones do.
Okay.
But like they actually basically have no text in our format, right? Which again, if it was a 1-mana commander, I think that it didn't. I don't think it would need text, right?
For sure.
Like I think people would just play it, especially if it was like blue or red. Turns on like SWAT or flare or flare.
Oh, yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is really, really interesting. I don't know if we'll see that 1-mana commander.
I don't think so. I think my sense is that WotC's fairly averse to a Rograk 2.0 or anything adjacent to that.
I don't know if I agree with that because like they've from anything that we've like heard from them or from the rules committee or whatever it's called now, I don't think Rograk is like considered a problem in their format.
I don't think he's considered a problem. I think they are on record saying he was a design mistake.
Oh, interesting. I did not read that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just the general idea of 0-drop legendary that does so many things is like interesting.
Rograk belongs in the main board.
But I mean, like they defend their decision to make Jeweled Lotus so much. Every time they talk about Jeweled Lotus, they're like, "We did a great job designing that card."
Hey, let me have Jeweled Lotus so I don't have to discard my hand with Gwen every game.
Yeah, I did see today, only tangentially related, Gavin tweeted that next month, along with the standard bans, they are revising the bracket system for Commander.
I'm interested to see what that means. Like,
Yeah.
because they did say that they weren't going to touch the ban list at all, or the game changers list. So it means, like, to me, that's a structural change of, like, maybe they're going to go down to, like, 2 game changers for bracket 3 and, like, 4 for bracket 4, something along those lines. But yeah, I'm interested to see what that means.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of talk or like internet desire for a separate ban list for cEDH, but I think that would require a lot more acknowledgement from WotC than we get at this moment.
Do not want that. I will come on record and say I think that's a really bad idea.
I think that's part of the charm of this format is that we're kind of like unregulated in that sense. Like we don't have a like, rules committee, or we don't anymore for the short two weeks that existed. But yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing about this format, or like the charm behind it, is like we're all doing like really broken or degenerate shit in this format, and it's like I hope no one really like touches that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. I like, in my opinion, this is like going into like bans and stuff like that. There are some like rumors that Ristic Study might get banned and Timna is getting looked at, and I just don't want either one of those things to happen. In my opinion, if you really want to like balance the format, make more broken green stuff. Like give me fast bond. Like like give me something that can like catch up to the blue farms.
For sure.
Savage Merchant.
Yeah, that's a good card. But I don't think it's a breach, right? Like exactly. So like as long as you just like keep getting good green stuff that blue farm wants that they can't have, I think that's how you balance our format, in my opinion.
I think something that is difficult with that, though, is you talk about kind of wanting to keep casual and cEDH in like the same sandbox, because I think as soon as we like split into a different format, now we're in like Oathbreaker territory. And something difficult about specifically green is if we talk to casual players, it and white are some of the strongest colors to be in.
Yeah, true.
So what is an avenue you guys can see of things that would be very, very powerful in cEDH, but that aren't going to disproportionately affect the casual community and cause an online uproar?
So we're already seeing it, right? Like some of the most powerful like green cards that are the reason why I'm playing TNT, right? Are Shifting Woodlands. We have Culling Ritual, Cabbage Man eventually. Like some of these cards are going to see an insane amount of play in cEDH because they're powerful in our format. But like if you play those cards in casual, they're pretty bad, right? Like, I mean, Cabbage Merchant, it makes rectangles, which is usually pretty good in casual. But like, I don't think that these these things are like not super powerful. Like Culling Ritual like doesn't do what it does in our format. Like it's not a super ritual. It doesn't do the things that like, it doesn't just win you the game in a casual game. But if you continue to make green cards that are good in our format, like maybe Mana Bond, right? Like or not Mana Bond, Fast Bond. Like that's not going to just win the game in a casual sense. But in our format, it's like, oh, that's incredibly powerful, right?
Well, okay. There's problems with like the idea of balancing 5 colors. I just don't think it's possible for any format. If you look at every format, there's standout colors regardless of where we're at.
Yeah.
And like Eric just mentioned, even in casual casual EDH, white and green are more powerful. But where's the cries that like, oh, we need to make blue more powerful in casual? Like,
well, but there were cries, right? So like for the longest time, people were saying that like white was dog shit in casual EDH. Like it was actually the worst color, considered unplayable. And then they constantly they made Esper Sentinel, they made Tithe, they made Trouble in Pairs, they made like all of these random cards that like are incredible, that have brought white back up to a powerhouse. Like they have actually specifically designed colors to like get better in our format.
Sure, but like I don't think that any one particular card is going to make that like massive bit of difference. It's gonna have to be something that takes place over time.
Absolutely.
Right, and also if that's the case, then the things shift back to where like let's talk about when TNT was really, really popular and powerful before Breach existed.
Yeah.
Right? So red was not powerful then.
Correct.
I think Dockside was around or not? When like TNT was very powerful. I'm asking
I don't
Jason
think
this.
Dockside was there when it was like Flash Hulk stuff.
Yeah, it was like, so Flash Hulk was powerful, right?
Yeah.
But because there's 5 colors, I think it's always going to be shifted on its axis against one for the most part.
I tend to agree, but I don't think it should stay like that. Like, I think that axis should shift.
Yeah, but you haven't been playing that long.
For sure. No, I
I guess that's
100%
what I'm saying.
agree.
It takes place over time. Like, it happens over time. But also, like, a lot of what our card pool is like old cards, old powerful cards. So
That
a
is
lot
true,
of that
but
doesn't
it's also
change.
not true, right? Like some of the staples that we have in our format are new cards from Modern Horizons 1, 2, and 3, right? And Theros.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Theros is like the set that made our shit broken.
That's a really good point, actually. One of the things I like about Theros is devotion. I think devotion is a good way to buff like low color piles in ways that don't disproportionately affect like other colors. You know, because for instance, something that's like really difficult is, oh, do we want to like buff white? Okay, that buffs like TNK. What about blue? Somehow still TNK. But if you're buffing a deck for having, you know, 4 green pips on turn like 3, or just four pips of any particular color.
green.
Sorry. Yeah, I know we got 5 green players in one room. But you know, like, because you have the what is it like? Because you have that colorless artifact that taps for your devotion to whatever color you just entered, right?
Nyx Lotus.
Yeah.
Nyx Lotus.
I think like stuff like that is good. A good example of something that like it rewards you for going further down the road in like a particular path, but it's not at the cost of like, you know, other things. Blue Farm isn't like, oh man, I would be the best deck in the format if I could run Nyx Lotus.
Dude, Blue Farm already plays devotion cards.
Oh
I'm
man.
confused.
What is
That's
it?
his Oracle.
Oh, it is!
That is
Everything
a
I said
devotion
was a
card.
lie. I take it all back. Take it all back.
Yeah,
I
do. I think the devotion's like a really interesting design space that they could print very, very powerful cards, because in soup piles you like wouldn't be able to have those,
Yeah,
right?
like, who cares? Yeah.
I think you already see this with like aggressively costed cards like what's the charm, the green charm, the Archdruid's
Archdruid
charm,
yeah.
where like you have like 3 different modes and all of them are like kind of broken in my opinion. And it's like you can print more of these cards because they're like aggressively into like a specific color, like
Chord of Calling?
triple green. Chord of Calling is an easier one because like you can also
convoke it.
chord all of the other creatures you have in play.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
But it's
Gracias
still
for
like
that,
triple
yeah.
green, which is aggressively costed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as soon as you're outside of black, getting triple of like any color either required being in treasures, which is why like I think Dockside allowed like a lot of cards to be viable, or you know I think you have to like be kind of all in, you know, on that particular, which is crazy because like Rock Thrass, which is like super duper in on like Guy's Cradle, it's still very, very difficult. I think not very many of those lists are on.
Yeah, which I think
Archer's
is a
Charm.
mistake in Rogdrass. I think they should all be playing Archer's Charm. I think that card is so underplayed in our format. Like, if you can produce the green, like, that card's insane.
Even if you like print powerful cards that also somehow buff Blue Farm, I guess is it possible to print cards that like give Blue Farm 2% but give insert other deck 10%?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
the answer's J-Lo, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like, J-Lo, it is good in farm, but, like, it's not as
What the
good.
fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you
It's an
saying?
auto-include.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I think like the percentages that it makes farm better is less than the percentages that it makes Lumra better.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
No, I
And
was
so, like-
more like you're motherfucking Gwenum player.
Yeah, that's what J-Lo. But no, I like for real. Like I think it is cards that are like that you know other decks can take advantage of in a better sense than Blue Farm can.
So maybe what we're saying is that we don't need particular cards to make colors better. We need cards to make different strategies better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
Right.
So like you're saying that like J-Lo buffs Lumra and buffs Gwenum and buffs like Maelstrom Wanderer and Tevesh and all that stuff, right? But like, yeah, it does make Blue Farm better and Blue Farm will run it, but it's not taking it
Yeah.
plus 15%. It's,
Right.
Yeah, Blue Farm isn't like, oh, thank God I got JLo off my Nas. Okay, it was almost bad there for
No,
a
I have to
second.
find, now I have to find like what to cut for Drano. It's probably a land.
Yeah.
You
Just
know?
one more reason to run Brea. Am I right, guys? Yeah, like I think, for instance, one of the reasons white is super duper strong in casual is because of board waves. And that's just not something that's like a really, really big threat because Aristocrats is not an exceptionally viable strategy in cEDH.
Yeah. I mean, white's also really good in casual with Teferi's protection, right? Which is like, if you're playing that in a cEDH deck, like, I don't know
It's
I don't
come
know what's
up.
happening,
I've seen
dude.
it.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Not me, but
I was like, huh?
Oh, you want to phase out? Fucker, I'll take you out. That's just Oracle. Like, what are you going to respond with? Yeah, it's just not like taking yourself out of the game isn't exceptionally helpful in like cEDH.
Yeah.
I don't envy the designers at Wizards because they have to design with all of these things in mind.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if they
man.
don't, then they're not designing responsibly. And we see that sometimes with cards like Nadu, where they're like, oh, it's printed, it's fine, it's broken, right? But it was somewhat reasonable in cEDH.
Yeah.
Anything else, it's like
Jason's over there shaking his head.
It's
very aggressively saying no.
Fucking brother. What are you talking about?
Right, but it's just interesting. I think it's a conversation we will continue to have, and we'll see if things change. But right now, man, I don't know. Like, keep printing stuff like Voice of Victory. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, still going back to like, even like the last like year of cards, like I think that we've gotten a lot of really good green stuff. Like a lot of really good
Dude,
green
Nature's
stuff.
Rhythm, come on.
Nature's Rhythm is like
Nature's
insane.
awesome.
Like
Yes.
Shifting Woodlands is one of the strongest lands in our format.
Yep.
Like Cabbage Man, is gonna be really good as well. Like I
even
think they are
Baloth.
trying to address it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Frenzy Baloth isn't that bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything you just can't touch. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I think that they are trying to maybe address that, but I also don't know if they even see it as a problem, right?
Let's go back to Spider-Man. What do you think we're gonna see any powerful cards out of this 170 card set?
In Spider-Man or
Sorry, not
Teenage
Spider-Man.
Mutant Ninja Turtles?
God,
Is that all it
whatever current slop set we're talking about?
I think there's a possibility that if they, going back to our previous conversation about like wish boards and sideboarding, that Gifts Ungiven card that like can attack your sideboard is really interesting. It might see play. I kind of doubt it, but again, if we get a 1-mana commander, I think that this will see play here.
I think they're extremely incentivized to not print 1-mana commanders or 0-mana commanders.
Agreed. But I
think
like,
2-mana commanders are even tougher than the print with partner.
Yeah. I've been very disappointed in the responsibility and the wisdom that WotC has shown in the last few releases. For instance, like Vivi, I think is a great example of like a relatively like well-designed card. When you combine it in certain formats with other cards like Egg of the Soul card now have a bit of a problem. But the fact that it can like only be done on like your turn and only once a turn, I think is a great example of like it's an incredibly powerful card with an incredibly powerful ability that requires you to dip pretty deep into like some potentially bad cards and
also
to break
like
it in cEDH.
restricted by the fact that it's 2-color.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, good God, if it were Grixis.
Oh,
Yeah.
which canonically
Yeah.
should be, but
Right.
different.
Yeah.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, like what's the name of the tokens that Turtles create? It's
Black
mutagen tokens.
Mutagen
Oh,
token.
mutagen.
Yeah, I think if we were going to get a 1-mana turtle, mutagen would be way better than it is.
For sure. I also think that like the sneak mechanic, like there could be like that is inherently a broken thing that cEDH will like look at if there is a card that has something that we want on it.
Yeah,
right?
ninjutsu for like instants and sorceries.
I think
Yeah.
you mean free running.
Oh, yeah, like if we get something like so like we constantly are looking at like a way to reduce costs, right?
Yeah.
And sneak is a way to reduce costs. We just need to see a card that's powerful enough that we can utilize that sneak for and actually want to cast it, right?
Outside, bro.
Yeah.
The wheel was almost good.
The
fact
wheel
that it's
one's
a
like
May
interesting,
wheel,
right? Yeah. But
Is-
it's like I think the over size of that with like out sneaking it is like way too aggressive. But I don't know. Like again, I'm not just gonna like completely discount an entire set, but I do think
I'm also
possible.
just concerned that these sets are like really designed for new players because everything is +1/+1 counters.
Yep.
yeah.
and I guess I'm not concerned, but it just is already pointing me in the direction of, do I care? Like I don't have a reason to care until I care, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I think it's still something that we should look at, right? Like, we're still seeing.
Of course. I mean, as competitive players, we're going to evaluate the cards that are presented
For
to us,
sure.
regardless of, like, you know, but it's already just kind of pointing us in the direction of, like, okay, maybe this is a little bit lower power than.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, UB straddles this space of you have known characters that people want to identify as strong. Like Kefka and Vivi and Sephiroth are very strong cards, but they do have stipulations that make them more balanced. But then you have the flip side of UB is going to attract a bunch of people who've never played the game before. And so it's just put counters on white weenies, and that's what the cards do. So I think it's a cool opportunity to have both ends of the spectrum and like do that well. But yeah, this is like a half card set almost, right? Like 170 versus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we see anything that great.
Yeah, I haven't seen Bagel and Schmear out of
No, but we did see some pizza basics, which, you know, I kind of like them, but I know a lot of people hate them.
Dude, the one less that green creature in Lorwyn is insane.
Yeah.
The tutor and untapper
Yeah, the
on one
spelling
card.
right?
I have a hot
That's a
take.
rough
I
text
think
card.
that card is not going to see play at all in our
really?
format. Yeah,
That's
I think it's
interesting.
bad. I think like 3 mana as like a creature survival, it can discard not a creature, which is like really good. Don't get me wrong, but like then for it to have to sit around for a turn to like be able to untap your cradle.
Sure.
And like
Okay.
3 mana is like a weird spot for the deck, specifically like a Rogthras deck, that like you kind of want to be finding your cradle or abusing your cradle at that point.
Yep.
And like that card does not do
Neither
either
of
one of
those
those
things. Yeah,
things.
that's fair.
That's my opinion.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's in like a weird. I think it's like 1 pip or like 1 too much.
Yeah, green and one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, Jordan, you want to tell us what our next tab is?
Sure.
That's our last one, our last official tab.
Yeah. One of the coolest experiences I've gotten to have in this format is playing in a tournament and like multiple tournaments, and I cannot wait for Fishbowl. I've never gotten to do something at that scale, and I thought it would be really cool to help get somebody else to do that. So we had a bunch of people sign up in a thread on adnos.gg for a giveaway for a Fishbowl entry. We're going to do an episode in the future with Hire. We want to do a tournament prep thing, but we wanted to do this giveaway for that so people have time to like book travel if they're not local to San Diego or get lodging or whatever. So we're going to spin the wheel from wheelofnames.com, and one of you guys is going to get a Fishbowl entry, and we'll announce it, and we can DM and we'll get that sorted out.
All right, Eric, hit us.
Hey, if the Croche wins this, I think we should respin. Dude. He's a local in San Diego.
Not only that, but like he has some of the biggest heat of any deck that I've ever seen. Like,
Dude, that's why he.
Hey, but he can't afford a flannel.
Well,
though,
his
so watch
name on
out.
here isn't a miscut, so he won't accept it. All right, spinning the wheel of names.
I hope it's
You're not
That's
on
me, by
there,
the
are
way.
you?
Yeah, he is.
No,
which
God.
We just hit
man.
collusion.
Oh, Blake.
Oh,
Oh,
Tycho.
wow.
Tycho.
Tycho, congratulations.
Yeah, we'll tag you in Discord and Adnos, and we'll connect and we'll get you
hey,
registered.
we should spin a backup or two, right?
Yeah.
Just in case.
Okay, just in case.
Yep.
Spinning the
I'm
wheel.
so sad that didn't land on Blakey. I'm pretty sure that's the person that like I stayed with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a RAL player. I also played them at. Oh wait.
Whoa, Blakey snubbed again. Whoa.
Couple backups.
D. Isaac E.
Oh,
Disachi.
Yeah.
all right, we'll spin one more just in case.
Just in case.
Who's it gonna be?
Oh, that'd be funny.
King the Great.
King the
I
Great.
also got to meet this person at Cookout.
Crick player?
I'm not sure.
I think so.
Man.
I just got to
Imagine-
talk with them.
Imagine how King the Great is gonna feel when Ty Cope responds to Jordan's message immediately.
Cool. Yeah.
Right. Thank you guys for watching. Everyone show Jordan some love in the comments. And have it take the shape of a compliment. And viewers, your hottest CDH take. All right, do you guys want to bet on how many of people's takes are going to be Banneristic?
Too many.
So many.
Too many.
It's also not a hot take,
We gotta
unfortunately.
fix the draw problem.
Oh,
I think that's been sufficiently fixed. at
I'm
this
just going to say,
point.
flip turn order, seat 4 now goes first. Checkmate.
Dude, I would be doing so well in big tournaments.
Hey,
You snake it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh my god, dude.
4 goes twice.
Dude, that would be terrifying.
we have some events coming up this weekend that we needed to cover.
yeah,
Alright,
we
everyone,
have
off the top
an
of your
Enchanted
heads,
Grounds
go.
tournament on Sunday.
Well, we have locals on Friday.
We have locals on Friday here.
Yeah.
Here.
We have an Enchanted Grounds tournament on. It's a 1K.
1K,
I
yeah.
think it's a 1K.
1,000 people
No, no,
are
no,
going
no.
to Enchanted
It's-
Grounds on Sunday.
Friday, it's locals. Saturday, it's Fort Collins.
Fort Collins, yeah.
They've got a foil chroma special guest
Yeah.
as their.
It's a very small tournament, but it's like they're
It's
trying
getting-
to kick off.
It's
right?
getting close to a silver.
Yeah.
It's getting close to a
Yeah,
silver.
shout out to the Fort Collins people. They're doing good work
Yeah.
up there.
Which I'll be at the Fort Collins tournament.
I think I'll be there too.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll just be at the
You
1K.
guys will be there.
I unfortunately am not going to that.
And then Sunday we have an Enchanted Grounds tournament. I don't know if the turnout's going to be super high on that one because it's on a Sunday. And
it's-
there was a tournament
and
the
there's
day
a
before.
three-peat happening, dude. Like,
Our scene is out of control.
yeah. So,
Next month there's a conquest.
Oh yeah,
which I will also not be at.
That's
we'll be in
Yeah.
Conquest.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Last time it was awesome. The venue is huge. They're donating to charity for kids.
The venue last year, they were serving drinks to your table.
No, I know. They were bringing chicken tenders to my
Attendees.
Not the
I remember like specifically.
Wait,
I was
I don't
like,
remember this.
You don't remember this?
No.
Dude.
I was so locked in and
one
winning.
of my games, in one of my games, like we had a server, and I was like, "Can I get a whiskey ginger?" And they're like, "Yes." And they brought it to my table, and I was like, "This is amazing.
Wow. Holy
I
shit.
want this to happen at all times."
I do have to say the bathrooms were immaculate.
Yeah.
I can't say that about a lot of venues, but this one for sure.
But yeah, I think they're having it at the same place, right? That hotel out there. Yeah.
All right, so Fishbowl, we're all kind of leaving Thursday and Friday. We'll
Yep.
be there to hang out Friday. Come see us wherever we are. We'll probably post something somewhere.
I think I'm going to be at the locals at TC on Thursday.
Oh hell yeah.
What decks are we all playing?
Oh,
Real
yeah.
quick.
I'm still a coin flip, so I don't know how to answer that question.
Hey, you could get free entry to Fishbowl if you play
No,
my team
not a
games.
three-sided coin, dude. No,
they're
I'm
so
either playing
flippable.
TNT or Gwenum.
Okay.
I am unsure yet.
Team Navarro.
Lumra.
I'm playing TK.
Bro, Tim the Calm.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
kidding.
Not again. Jason did this at the Invitational where he's
I injected him with brainworms. I injected him with brainworms.
Austin gave me the brainworms to play Kinnan at the MV.
Look, dude, I still stand
did
by
not
my
play TK at
brainworms
the
that
end.
if you saw more TK in that tournament,
Oh, I agree.
Then
I mean,
you
like,
would have been
my,
like-
my subtlety doesn't do anything.
Get back in there, Thassus.
but yeah, I should be at TC's on Thursday at that local tournament. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked to see that.
Are we doing anything like we'll probably try to coordinate some sort of meetup or something, or just come find us at Fishbowl if you're going to be there. Otherwise, catch us next week on Keeping Tabs, probably with Hire. I don't know who's going to be running that show, but hopefully Hire will be there. And then we'll do some tournament prep and some other small videos and stuff. And then other than that, catch our Fishbowl coverage, and hopefully we don't crash out.
Thank you guys for watching, and see you in top 4. Bye. Bye. Oh.